Welcome back. Today we're talking about Canon cameras and how to set ISO, aperture, and shutter speed specifically on a Canon. Alright, so I've got a Canon camera aiming at me and we're going to adjust some settings there so you can see the difference it'll make when we do the adjustments. The Canon in my hand, I've got another one right here pointed at it so you can see it and you can see what I'm going to touch on the screen. Now I want to give you a warning. I'm teaching from a practical standpoint, self-taught standpoint, not textbook. So videographers that are here, they might cringe at some of the things that I share. And if you're asking because you want to pass a film school exam, this is not the video for you. But if you're asking this question because you want to know how to use a Canon camera so that it works and you can make your subject look great, I know how to do that. So we're going to cover the ISO, the shutter speed, and the aperture, three things that you need to understand on a DSLR camera, or nowadays mirrorless. We're also going to cover color temperature. Okay, so on this camera, I'm just going to show you the defaults. I typically start with my shutter speed at 60. If you go with a shutter speed lower than that, you want the things in the frame to move faster than the shutter speed of the camera. And you can increase the shutter speed. Something like sports photography if you want a lot more detail. But as you notice as I scroll up and down, it's basically making the image lighter or darker. Now, all three of these adjustments, the shutter speed, the aperture, and the ISO, will adjust the amount of light that comes into your picture. So let me demonstrate this for you. On the camera that's filming me, let's adjust the shutter speed. Go ahead and adjust the shutter speed down so it's going at a slower shutter speed. That's going to be letting in more light. Now if you adjust it above where we were, it's going to be darker because it's a faster shutter speed. Now when you're filming outdoors, there's a lot of light, and so you can go at a faster shutter speed and film action sports or something like that, and that'll be great. All right, now back to showing on this camera, let's talk about aperture. Okay, I love having the aperture wide open in most cases because that means that the background has more blur, or that there's a shallower depth of field, that the area or the depth of space that's in focus where everything else is blurred. Okay, so I love getting prime lenses that have a wide aperture, 1.4. And so by default, I never adjust this. If I do adjust it, you'll see that the amount of light getting in is less because the aperture gets smaller and smaller. All right, so we're wide open at an f-stop of 1.4. I'm moving it in, I'm at 2.8, now at 5.6, I'm all the way to 11. So here's a visual that really helps me understand this. And if you're looking at the opening in the lens, this wide open one relates to this image right here. So the green area is the area that's in focus. And so you see when the aperture is closed down, you have a much deeper area that is all within focus. But when you have a wide open aperture, the area that's in focus is a lot shallower. All right, so now I'm going to demonstrate on this camera what happens when you change the aperture. But I want to show you the blur in the background first without adjusting the lighting. So to do that, I'm going to turn one other setting on automatic. So it's going to automatically compensate the lighting so you can just see how the blur changes in the background. Okay, so now go ahead and close down that aperture. Yeah, I can see the lens closing in. Now, can you see how much more detail you can see in the background? Okay, now let's open it back up and you're going to see me stay in focus, but the background is going to blur. Okay, so let's turn that automatic setting off so that the light will change as we do this. So let's start, we're at an aperture of 1.4. Now let's go to a 2.8. All right, now let's go to a 5.6. All right, now let's go to a 12. I imagine that I'm pretty dark right now. You can't even see me. Okay, go back to a 1.4. All right, let's come back to this camera and let's talk about ISO. ISO is the sensitivity of the electronics, the sensor inside the camera. It can adjust how much light it's receiving. So right now on this camera, I'm set at 100 ISO, and if I turn it up, you see that the picture gets way brighter. Because I love using a wide open aperture, having the background blur, then I control the amount of light that's coming in, both through the shutter speed. If I turn that up, it gets darker, or the ISO, if I turn it up, it gets brighter. So you may be wondering, what was the automatic setting that I turned on? Well, if you look here, if I go to ISO, next to auto, if I just go below the lowest setting, now it's on automatic. So if I hit return on my menu, and let's say I go to shutter speed, if I turn the shutter speed up, which would normally make the picture darker, it's not darkening the picture at all, that's because the ISO is automatically adjusting. So let's just see, if I go into the ISO, right, it says auto there. If I go to 100, like look how dark that makes it instantly. I have to go clear back to like 800 or so to get it to where I want it to be. All right, so I'm taking it off automatic. I'm gonna put shutter speed back here around 60. So these are kind of the default settings where I start. Now I wanna talk about color temperature. If you follow on this camera right here, I'm gonna hit the Q. There's also a button on the camera that says Q, and it just opens up a menu of more features. If I hit the K, that's the K for Kelvin, there's a lot of options in here, and I just love setting the color temperature manually. You can do lots of automatic settings, but if you're filming in daylight, you're typically going to be 5,000 or above, or warmer light's going to be around 2,500, 3,500. So how I would adjust that is just going up and down, and you can manually pick the number. If you're not familiar with these numbers, don't worry. Just know that the higher the number, the cooler or the bluer. Now, if you're filming in daylight, that's actually quite a high number. But if you're filming in soft light inside and you've got warmer light bulbs, you're gonna want your color temperature to be around 2,500 or 3,500 just to adjust it to see if the skin tones look right. All right, so let's play around with this and tell me, what color temperature are we on your camera, Nick?
5,500.
Okay, so let's turn it down to 4,500. All right, what about all the way to 3,000? Now, if I had different lights on me, I would look natural in this setting, but because I've got lights that are set around 5,500, I look totally way too warm right now. So I set it the opposite. My filming team corrected me, so I look really blue right now. Okay, so now let's go back to 5,500. So now I should look back to normal. Let's go up to like 7,500. And I'm assuming I look more orange. I look a lot warmer right now. Now I want to talk about if you're filming solo, you don't have a camera crew with you, and you're just setting up the settings on your camera. What if the lighting changes in the middle of your filming? Like when you start filming the video, it's cloudy, but then the sun comes out and it gets a lot brighter outside. So what I like to do is take the shutter speed and go up several steps, more than I would normally want to, and just set it there. And then I go over to the ISO and I set that to automatic. And so that way I can leave the camera on the tripod, I can hit record, and then if the lighting changes during the video, the camera will compensate and I'll look good the whole time. So I'm excited for you to dive in and begin experimenting with these settings on the camera. I never use the automatic settings that you find on the top of the camera. I always keep it in manual mode, so you can adjust these things yourself and you can control the image. Now, I have a gift for you. I'm a producer for over 50 different YouTube channels, and for every one of these channels, we leverage YouTube to generate leads for our business. So if that's something you like to do, I'm excited to introduce you to my book, and I want to give this to you as a gift. Now, this isn't just any book. I actually put 2 years of work into this book, a lot of time and effort to take you behind the scenes on many of the channels that I produce. And I made it color so you could actually see screenshots of the analytics. You can learn my exact strategy on how I've created many 7- and 8-figure YouTube channels. So if you'd like to get a copy of this book for free, you just cover the shipping cost. Go to natesyoutubebook.com.